It's time for Ask Mike Mondays. Mike answers one listener's question every week. Here's Michael Becker and Paul Peebles.
Welcome to Ask Mike Mondays. I'm your host, Paul Peebles, National Underwriter for Old Capital. Joining me today, the man from the great state of Texas, the governor of Texas, the head of Beckerville, USA, the Beckerville Corporation, I would say, SPI, better known as Mr. Michael Becker.
Hey, Paul.
Michael, how are you?
Things are going pretty good. What's new in the Old Capital world?
Oh, we're just trying to do another $1 billion this year in apartment loans. That's about it.
How's before we get into it, how's the volume so far this year kind of compared to last year?
Last year, I think it was very good. This year is very good, but probably not as great as last year, I have to tell you. I think the volume is off a little bit this year. The deal sizes are huge. And, if it was 10 years ago, if it was a $5 million deal, now it's a $15 million deal. So the volume is there, but the size of these deals are just incredibly large. There's no doubt about that. They really have gone up in price, not just in Dallas or Fort Worth, that Seattle or Chicago or all these places. The properties on a per price basis have gone up significantly. No doubt about that.
It sounds like everyone's had to raise more money to do these deals.
That's right. If you're thinking about trying to raise money, at least building some relationships, come to Dallas on October 24th, 25th. We'll buy you a cocktail on 24th and have you network with some folks. We'd love for you to come meet some of the top partnership sponsors, some of the top vendors, meaning attorneys, contracts attorneys, PPM attorneys, appraisals, lenders. So we have it all in one place. It's probably the premier multifamily conference to go to. We'll have 700 people there at the House of Blues. So come on an American Airlines jet or a Southwest jet. Come down to Texas and we'll see you on October 24th, 25th. All right, we're continuing on with our series. Our series started a couple weeks ago under Help. I love your podcast. You highly motivated me to buy apartments. What are the steps? So we handle number one, being educated. And so we kind of led you through to what you need to do to understand a little bit about trying to get into the multifamily business. So before you raise money, kind of know what the hell you're talking about. And so education is a big thing. So second thing is finding a broker. How do you get into this business? Well, you get this business by really getting educated, but finding a property. So how do you find a property? The gatekeepers in this business typically are the multifamily listing agents. So how do you get to know them? We talked a little bit about that last week. So the third part is just like in Jerry Maguire, show me the money. We want you to bring some of your money into the transaction, but we also have no problems with you looking to possibly syndicate it, trying to find some cash to do it, whether it is self-directed IRAs, people that raise money that way, or just people that just want to use their own cash to put into the transaction. So today, help, get me the money, show me the money, give me the capital. Mike, how do you tell people to raise money?
There's many ways to go about that, but really it's about getting networked and put yourself in the right position to do it and meet the right people. So really, there's when you're raising capital, kind of guys that do what I do for a living really kind of fall into two sorts of equity sources that they most likely go through. So one is you get a single source equity checks. So you kind of joint venturing with private equity shops, and so you're dealing with these kind of more, institutional type people that'll write, 90% of the check, and then you as a sponsor is going to bring 10% of the check. And then you have kind of a prep for the waterfall structure, and then you get asked all these questions by some 26-year-old MBA trying to justify his job on a go-forward basis. And that's how a lot of people that, especially when you get these little larger scale deals, that's what you do. My company, we've really kind of avoided trying to go down that path, and we've just stuck with the syndication. So we just kind of go out and, like I say, just bang it out 100,000 at a time, and just got a big database and, ever-growing database. So we just kind of market deals to and try to raise money through syndication. So that's kind of really what I know a little bit more. So that's what we'll focus on. That's what most of the people that Paul makes loans to, they're in that kind of similar space as well. So, how do you go about and do that? I mean, we've talked about the first part of the series, and we talked about many times. If you join a effective real estate investor club or mentoring organization, a lot of times they have a good ecosystem. So there's a lot of other people that are in there that are, also learning, trying to be actives. And a lot of people join those types of groups just to get networked and, be a professional passive investor, basically. Our buddy John Mix, we've had on the podcast several times. That's what he does. I don't know exactly how many deals he's in, but Paul's got to be at 40, 50 deals in his last 5-6 years.
As a passive investor, he has just put money into other people's transactions. I mean, he never really wanted to take the stick in his hand as to being the captain of the airplane. He did not want to do it. He just wanted to sit in the back seat and eat his peanuts and drink a Diet Coke. So he was a passive investor, and he put his money into, say, 30, 35, 40 transactions. And so he's a great person to kind of talk about when you're just being a passive investor. He's the guy in the back of the airplane.
Yeah, that's certainly a way. I think the other ways, like what I do, I think one of the best things that I've ever done is, have this podcast. It's a great platform for us, and I could sit here and talk to you guys over the last 5 or 6 years, or however long we've been doing it.
I wish this was my idea, but it was not. It was Michael's idea.
Yeah, so we sit there and we interview other people, or we do these Mike Monday things, and I pontificate on a random topic for 10 minutes at a time, and either I make sense to you or I don't, and over a period of time, either you come across credible or I don't. And if it does, and we get, every week we get multiple people that reach out off the podcast, which is just unbelievable. So you don't have to have your own podcast, but maybe think about having some sort of platform that you can go out and start doing things. And one of the things we mentioned before, one of the things I've seen we've seen a lot of people be successful is they start like a little meetup group.
Yep.
So, just go to meetup.com, form a little group, and you get at the back of some restaurant's little banquet room, and you do it on a Saturday or a Thursday night or whatever day, and you do it once a month or once a quarter or whatever it is.
And bring a speaker in.
Yeah.
Bring somebody on the lending side. Bring
Yeah.
somebody on the title side. Bring somebody in on the self-directed IRAs. So, you don't have to run. You got to run the meetup, but you don't have to be the guy who has the topic every time to talk about. Try to do these meetups once a month. If it's too taxing to do it every other week, but that's a great way to start establishing relationships. And again, people, will do business with folks that they like and trust.
Yep.
And one way to get in front of folks is these meetups, because they see you and they get to know you and get to see how you operate within areas.
Yeah, that's right. And then, and I think the biggest thing is just being consistent with it. So, if you're going to do it, just need to make sure you're committed to it. Every the second Tuesday of every month, you're doing it, and that's just kind of be consistent around it and plan. And I think that's a good way of doing it. And, like I joked when we first started this podcast, we had dozens and dozens of listeners, and, now over 40,000 downloads a month consistently every single month, which is unbelievable. So, that's how it starts. You'll start a podcast, start a little meetup, and you'll have 5 people show up, and then after a while, you'll have hundreds of people show up on a regular basis. So I think that's a good way of doing that. And, it's a relative business when you're raising money. If you've done one deal and the next person's done 0, you're 100% more experienced than they are. And like Paul mentioned, you don't have to be the subject matter expert on everything. You just need to invite other guest speakers in and add value to them. And kind of mix it up and be that person. And then when it comes time to, raise capital, you've already kind of built a relationship, because the last thing you need to be doing is like, hey, I got a deal awarded to me, and then now I'm going to go try to raise the money and meet these people for the first time. It's not how it works. You need to have, have met these people, have them get to know, like, and trust you ahead of time, because when it comes time to raise money, then, you need to already have that database built out, because it's too late by the time you have hard money up on something if you're just really trying to scramble and go raise capital. One of the other things I think we've been pretty effective doing is we've strategically partnered with a few different people from time to time that had a pretty large database, and we'll joint venture a deal together. And I've also done it the other ways, where I had one of my buddies who worked for a large competitor of mine and went out on his own. He got a couple of deals tied up, and then we joint ventured with him, where he found a good quality deal, and we actually brought the capital and he brought the deal to the table. So you don't have to have everything. You just need to have, access to it. So if you, have a big database, you have a lot of people that know, like, and trust you, maybe you can find an operator that has the opportunity to buy a deal, but isn't maybe as outgoing or personable, or just doesn't have the database that you do. You guys kind of come together and be joint venture the deal, and both be kind of co-sponsors. So I think that's a good way of, leveraging other people's networks and databases. And we've been successful doing that with a couple different people as well. And that's how we're able to, raise $25 million to do a deal that way, which is unbelievable, to do that 100,000 at a time, basically. So that's another tip that I have. And, I think when, our other buddy, JC, what he does a better job than me at is he's got these little newsletters and constant communication and good little kind of quality updates. That's one thing I think we do a good job, is we're really consistent with our financial reporting. It's every month, very timely, and, we get it out every month, and we're really consistent with distributions, and it's all the same time every month, and it's by ACH, and we're really consistent with that, and that's a great way. But if you can start like a little newsletter as well, and start with you get the database, throw it in either Constant Contact or MailChimp, and then constantly keep growing it. I think that's a great way of doing it. Do like a quarterly newsletter, give a little update about what's going on in your properties, and constantly keep sharing it to the existing investors as well as some outside potentially new investors that you kind of meet. But be consistent. Got to get out. Got to get networked. Go to Meetup. Start a Meetup. Join these mentoring and real estate investing clubs. And be a little social butterfly when you're there. I'm naturally kind of a shy person, so it doesn't but I found that doesn't really serve me to be kind of shy. So when I go into a room, one of the things I found is almost easier for me, Paul, is if I can be a guest speaker at a conference or someplace, and I can just get up on stage and talk for 30 minutes on something. And then when I get off stage, people come up to me and come seek me out. I don't have to go and walk up to someone and introduce myself. They come to me. So I find it's actually easier to talk from stage for 30 minutes and then go stand in the corner and have people come up to me. So those are some tips and some things that have been successful for us.
Promoting yourself is such a big thing. People who are typically a little bit shyer in this business, because I think this business draws a lot of engineers into it, and engineers are usually, they're atypical from promoting themselves. So, I would say break that mold if you can, find a way to do it in your mind, that maybe you're going to put a video of you talking about something on LinkedIn. Maybe do some Facebook Live stuff, do it from your meetups. Start to get you as a thought leader in this business. Thought leader in this business tremendously helps you, gives you the confidence, and people start coming up to you asking the questions. Again, just like Mike said on some of these meetups, we don't need for you to talk through the subject matter. Find an expert. Find an accountant that can talk a little bit about maybe bonus depreciation, but how do you qualify for yourself as being a professional in real estate? How you can take advantage of some of the tax laws that real estate can make you more profitable. So there's a lot of things that you can find people that will talk about the subject matter. You just need to put it together and promote that business, which kind of in turns comes into raising capital. The last thing I want to talk about is, for the last number of years, people have been putting out there these unbelievable rates of return. That's not what it is today. That is absolutely not what it is today. So if you're looking for cash on cash of 15, 20, 30% today, that's not what the market is. It'd be lucky if you had 5, 6, 7% maybe on these transactions. And that may be the second year you're going to do it. And then you may have an IRR, internal rate of return on your investment, of 40, 50%. And again, lucky to get that. But a lot of people need cash flow. A lot of people need a yield. They have a lot of this money stuck into a checking savings account. Yes, that is FDIC insured, but maybe it'd be worth it for them to maybe make 10 times what they're making on their 0.25% in the market to absorb that risk on a multifamily transaction. So, I think you just have to talk through these people that today is different from what it was before. Talk about what reality is today. I would think the more times you can tell the story of what it is than what it once was, and then people say, well, I'm only going to put it in if I can get a 15% rate of return. That's not your investor in your deals. Find the people that have not been exposed to these unusual and abnormal rates of return on multifamily. Yes, the pioneers that were in the multifamily for the last 5 years, they've enjoyed that, but that's not what it is today. People live on cash flow typically, and you can get cash flow on some of these properties in some of these good areas of say, Texas. Mike, what's going on in the SPI world these days?
Yeah, people want to find more information about us. The easiest way is simply go to our company's website, which is www.spiadvisory.com. That's SPI like spyadvisor.com. There's a contact us form. Fill that out. And I'm always happy to have a 10 to 15 minute telephone call with listeners off the podcast that want to, potentially partner with us. What we primarily focus on is, putting together high quality opportunities and putting them out and raising capital, or kind of being apartment syndicates basically, or if you maybe have a large 1031, you guys are looking to come into Texas and might need some help breaking into the market and potentially joint venturing with us. That's also worth having a quick call about as well.
I love that advisory business because, again, you could put $100,000 into SPI and to buy one of these apartment buildings that Mike does. Or two, is you can, if you do have a lot of money and you want to partner with Mike, this advisory business is pretty unbelievable, something to talk to Michael about. So do you have a success story off the top of your head, Mike?
We had a guy that sold a fourplex in Oceanfront Marina Del Rey, and we ended up taking him from 4 units to a 100-unit deal. And then 2 years later, we more than doubled his money, and then we bought a 200-unit brand new Class A deal from the developer. So we basically went from 4 units to 200 unit Class A deal in about 2.5, 3 years. So it's pretty nutty.
Went from a fourplex at the beach, actually probably losing money every month. Is that right?
He had to feed it for many years on a monthly basis.
And so then, and you're writing him a big check every month.
Every single month, yep. And we're actually just about to refinance that deal too. We put a bridge loan on the new acquisition, and then now we're going to cash out a couple $1 million on a refi. Anyways, this is the guy's I think got the Midas Touch or something. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know if he had the Midas Touch, but you certainly have the Midas Touch. There's no doubt about that.
He said yes at least, so that was good.
That was the smartest thing he's done, no doubt about that. All right, well, that was Michael Becker, smartest guy in the room. I'm Paul Peebles. Have a great day.